Hi, everybody. It's Dale Walsh, the poetic warrior from the Mental Health Warriors, and welcome to Straight, Sane, and Sober for Tuesday, September 20th. I'm honored today to have Amy Joy, who's the author of a new book called Get Your Shit Together. I hope I don't get in trouble with the title, Amy, and just welcome to Straight, Sane, and Sober. And how are you today?
I'm amazing. Thank you so much.
And so we'll break for our intro, and then we'll be back with the poem and a nice talk. So just hold on a sec. Uh, oh, I'm sorry. I hit the wrong thing. So let me Hello, everybody. Welcome to Mental Health Warrior TV. It's Dale Walsh and Amy Joy with you today, and we're going to have a great discussion. And as is tradition, I'm going to start with a poem, and it's called Reflection on the Greatest Craft. It goes like this. The variety of the word order poets string together is an approximation of the infinite, as every phrase has the potential to be a new vein of literary gold, waiting to be mined by the astute wordsmith seeking to transform the myopia of reality into work of art, to reveal great beauty and truth seldom found today, when the essence of lovely images is made irrelevant by the large lack of meaning so many writers desire to confuse and baffle rather than enlighten readers, who turn away from the incomprehensible obscurities with which they are often confronted, even as others surrender to the void of coherence created by verse that say nothing, by vastful store of non sequiturs, leaving the audience thinking about true intelligence. So that's sort of like a pessimistic poem, but I like to think that mine isn't a hopeless plethora of non sequiturs. So how are you, Amy? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks for having me, Dale.
So your book, Get Your Shit Together, came out in e-form on Sunday, I think, and the regular form comes out next Sunday, right? And
You
you've
got it.
already got up to #1 in Amazon in a category, right?
Yes, sir. In spiritual healing and a few other categories as well. Yeah, so thankful.
So why don't you tell us about yourself first, and then we can talk about the book and whatever else comes into our head.
All right, sounds good. So I grew up in Canada, a little town, on a missionary school. So my parents raised me in a school for missionaries. So people were coming and going, learning how to do missionary work. And it was a beautiful existence in lots of ways. And in some ways, it was really hard. It was very conservative. It was very male dominant and controlling. And I was born with a mouth and a brain, and I used both. And so I was in constant trouble.
Right.
But it made me stronger, and that's a good thing. So ended up getting married and went through 4 years of college to get specialized in unwritten languages, and then spent 4 years in the jungles of Papua New Guinea. For those who don't know, Papua New Guinea is on the other side of the world. It's north of Australia, and it is one of the most primitive places on the planet. So I lived in the middle of the jungle in a tribe for 4.5 years, learning their language, their culture, helping them medically. It was a beautiful thing, and my home life was hell. My husband was very, very abusive in all the ways, and it became a life and death situation. So long story short, I ran for my life with my 2 kids, ended up in Canada, thankfully with full custody, and worked with special needs kids for a little while, Asperger's, fetal alcoholism for a few years in the school system, really, really loved it. And then ended up having to flee to Mexico because the harassment didn't stop. Started over here in Mexico. This is where I live now. Raised my boys. They're now 23 and 21, and had to reprogram my life and adjust and learn and how to do things differently. And now I'm a life coach and an energetic trauma release healer, and I get to help and serve people every day, and it's my highest joy.
So when you say you fled, did you flee from Papua, or were you in Papua when you fled, or what
I fled twice, really. I fled from Papua New Guinea to Canada and then was there a few years, and then it was still a problem, and so I ended up fleeing to Mexico and started over. Like only my parents and my siblings knew where I was for 12 years. It was that serious, yeah.
I'm just thinking it must have been not too easy to flee from Papua.
Well, no, the way it worked is we came to the States for a natural holiday, like they call it a furlough, where you come back for a year. Right. And it was during that time that I left.
Oh, okay.
So
I was thinking getting out of the jungle with 2 kids, and
this is why I stayed so long, because it was really hard to get out. I couldn't get out without the helicopter and the airplane and everybody knowing. Right. And so yeah, good question.
So you say you're a mindset coach now and a specialist in trauma relief, did you say? And so why don't you tell us about your book? We'll go into your background a little bit in a little while, but
okay.
Tell us about your book and why it's an Amazon bestseller.
Well, the book is basically about my story of what I've just explained, but in specific detail about how to reprogram the mind. I believe that we've been given programs from our parents, from our schools, from our government, from our teachers, from our friends, programs that we didn't ask for, and in lots of ways, and quite often it doesn't serve us. And what I think is important is to realize what programs are running, decide whether we want to keep them or not, and the ones that we don't want, the ones that aren't serving us, to annihilate them and then recreate and design the programs that you do want. And that process has set me free. And I now get to live my authentic, joyous, free self. And I just want that for everyone. And I know that it's possible. And so I'm passionate about liberating people from suffering and lighting the path to joy and freedom. And this book does that.
Well, the first question that comes to my mind is, because so much is subconscious. I mean, we talked about Bob Proctor, and he talks about paradigms and everything. Yeah. So how you say I think it's great that you can like liberate yourself from your programming, but how do you like delve into yourself to the point where you can understand the programming that's running so that you can change it?
Oh my gosh, Dave, I love your questions. So there is a very, very specific way to do it, and it's called being aware. It's like, imagine you're a zombie walking up against the fence. You know, you can all see the zombies all together walking up against the fence. And now I want you to imagine that you wake up. You're the only one, and you look around, and everyone else is still doing this up against the fence, and you're awake. And for the first time, you're observing what's going on. And in that moment, you have a choice. You have a choice. You can keep doing this up against the fence like everybody else, or you can turn around and say, this isn't what I want. I'm going this way. And you have to first wake up to what's going on in the mind. Most of us are not aware of what's going on. We're just reacting to whatever it is. And we have a program that's been running. And when someone cuts you off in traffic, you get mad, and then you ruin the day. And this is the way that it goes. This is just what we do, right? But what if we could wake up and say, wait a second, okay, I'm mad right now, but I have a choice. I can stay mad or I can do it different. And at that crossroads, that's where you make the choice. And then there's a 4-step process on how to change your state, how to change your mind. Yeah.
But that's basically one of the things that I work on in my coaching for mental health coaching is the difference between reaction and response, and how the need for, instead of reacting blindly and just like getting furious or whatever, to take that like tenth of a second or even maybe more time to like think, this is going to ruin my day, and I'm not going to I'm just going to respond and be calm and everything. But, but I think is that what you're talking about? Like the contrast between reaction and response? And is that like essential to awareness or what?
Well, if you're good, I can give you the 4-step. You'll find it in the book as well. I call it the diamond of freedom. And there's 4 distinct things that you can do to create awareness and to make a change. Do you want me to go through that quickly?
Sure. That'd be great. I don't
All right.
I don't want to give your book away to people who want to read it though. So.
Oh no, you know what? I hopefully they get so much value out of this that they want the book and they want to read more, because there's so many more nuggets than just this. But this is one of the most important things that I think the world should know. If I had a mountaintop, Dale, to scream from and I could choose only one thing to share, it would be this. Honestly,
Okay.
That's how important it is. I have one tattoo and it represents this.
Go for it, Amy.
All right. So the diamond of freedom. So there's 4 things that you can do when you become aware that you're in a crappy state. Okay. So one of the things you can do, as soon as you realize you're in a crappy state, I want you to give yourself a high five. All right. And the reason for that is we're reprogramming your mind to accept that, of course, you might be in a crappy state. This is the mind. This is the program. It's not our fault. Okay. So becoming aware is the biggest thing. So then the first step is to move your body. It's about your body. What are you doing with your body? Depression has a look, right? Depression looks like this, no? If I did this and said, I'm so excited, you would go, no, you're not. Right? Because the body tells you,
the hanging head and all that, right?
The physiology, emotions have a look, right? And so you change your body. So put your shoulders back, right? Smile. Smiling puts you present. You're not in your messed up past or your messed up future in your mind. You're just here smiling, right? And then you want to move. You want to go for a walk. You want to run in place. You want to do anything with your body but this, right? So that's the first step. The second step is to change your focus. So it's the the cup half full or half empty scenario. But here's the hack. This is like the Reader's Digest version right here. You're going to ask one question, and it's this: what am I thankful for? Gratitude is the rocket ship to joy. You cannot be in a crappy state and be grateful. It can't exist in the same space.
Right.
So you just keep saying, I'm grateful for, I'm grateful for, I'm grateful for, until you feel grateful.
Right.
Right? And then all those other low-level emotions will go away, like seconds. The third thing, if those 2 don't work, then it's your language. You're telling yourself something over and over. If you feel crappy, you have crappy thoughts. Period. Right? So change your thoughts, change how you feel. So then you're like, okay, what am I telling myself? Okay, I'm not enough. I'm too fat. I'm too skinny. I'm too slow. I'm too fast. I'm too educated. I'm too uneducated. Right? All these things that aren't true, they're lies. And so then you're like, no, what's true is, and you speak the truth. What's true is I'm doing my best. What's true is I'm figuring it out. What's true is this is life. What's true is there's bumps in the road. What's true is if I don't know the answer, I'm going to go find someone who does. That's what's true. Right? And then all of a sudden you start feeling different, because when we're listening to lies, of course we're going to feel bad. Right. And then the 4th step, and this should be number 1, but we as humans often forget, and I believe we need to connect to source, the divine, the greater power, the greater than that is in us and all around us. so that we realize we're not alone. We have so much power. We have so much glory in us, and we're messy because we're human. And so just connecting and asking for help and knowing that we're not alone can change how you feel as well. So that's my diamond of freedom.
So let's so basically change physiology, gratitude, uh,
Change your story.
change your story, and be grateful towards the divine.
Yes.
And
Yes.
okay, well that sounds like a very good formula. One thing that one thought that came to me when you were talking about gratitude is something else that's very important. I think is forgiveness, and I think gratitude and forgiveness like sometimes walk hand in hand. But
Yep.
you know, a lot of people say gratitude's more important, and a lot of people say forgiveness is more important. So, do you have any ideas about that?
I do actually. There is a saying I have written in my bathroom wall, and it's changed my life. And this might blow up a few minds, but let's just think about it for a minute. There's a saying that goes like this: understanding replaces forgiveness in the mind of the master. Understanding replaces forgiveness in the mind of the master. And what that means to me is you can skip right over forgiveness when you have understanding that whoever hurt you or whatever you think happened, they were doing the best that they could with the tools that they had in the moment. That's the reality. Right? If they knew how to love, or if they knew how to take care of you, or if they knew what was kind, they would be doing that. But in that moment, they either didn't know or they forgot, just like we do sometimes, right? Sometimes we forget, sometimes we don't know, sometimes we do crappy things. And so if we just have understanding that that's where they were at, then we don't have to. It's like if a 2-year-old bites you, Dale, right? You're not going to talk about it for the rest of your life. You're not going to be offended. You're not going to be waiting for an apology because you have understanding that they're two. The problem is we think, even though we're adults, that we somehow are going to be perfect, and we're not going to act like 2-year-olds sometimes. The truth is that we do.
Right.
And so we just have understanding, and so then it makes the issue poof, go away. You're like, well, they had a bad day. I have that sometimes too. Right. And it's magic. I love it.
Well, that makes me think of two things. One is in high school, one of the sayings going around was understanding means to stand under, which is to look up, which is a very good way to understand.
Okay.
And that's just something that I threw out last week. But I might put you on the spot with this, but you know, I think that you know our viewers are sophisticated enough to handle it. But do you feel that you've come to an understanding of what happened in your marriage and with your husband?
Yes, because I can look at all of that now, and actually I'm super grateful. Like, and this is like honest to God true. If I had to do it all again, and I'm glad I don't, but if I had to, I actually would, because of what I've learned, and because of the kids that I have, and because of how fierce I know that I am, and how my kids know that I'll do anything for them, and all the people I know because I had to run to Mexico, and I found my happy place, and all the things that have happened. Like, he was my master teacher, you know, like he was doing the best he could with the tools that he had, and the things that happened to him when he was a kid, I'm sure I don't even know half of it, to have made him behave in the way that he behaved, you know, to give him, or the lack of tools, you know, that he was provided with. And so it's all good. Like, yeah, I have understanding and appreciation for it.
I'm sort of the same way. You know, people say, you know, people are always saying how much they admire how I've come, you know, my journey and how I've come out of schizophrenia and everything. But, you know, ultimately, this is an analogy that I use a couple of times. But apparently, Vincent Price, the actor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently he was on the Tonight Show when George Carlin was hosting one time, and he was talking about a new TV series called The Conductor or something. It's like, but basically, Vincent Price was a conductor on a train and he would go up to one person and says, if there's one moment you could change in your life, what would it be? And then the show would examine what would happen if that moment changed. And so Vincent Price says to George Carlin, he says, isn't that a great idea for a show? And George Carlin sort of like looks at him and thinks for a second, and he says, no, I don't think that's good. I wouldn't change anything in my life. I mean, everything that I've done and everything I've gone through, what made me the person I am today. And so that's sort of like an analogy to what you're saying, I think. And
Exactly.
I feel the same way about my schizophrenia. I mean, people say I've done like such a great job and I'm so courageous and everything. But first off, I just did what I did to regain my sanity. And the other thing is that I've been through some tough times, but I think I was talking to you about this before about I my parents lived a long time. I really haven't experienced that much tragedy in my. I mean, I haven't gone through the hell that you went through, and reach that level of understanding and, if you want to call it forgiveness or gratitude, where, I really like held it against the higher powers, what they were doing to me, and so I just, I'm going on a little bit, but I just feel that whatever happens, and you just have to like learn the lesson and take it from there, and that gratitude is like a universal panacea.
Yes. Yes.
So that's so I really admire what you're saying, because as I say, I haven't I've gone through like personal trauma and everything, but I've never like really had to experience like I mean, one of my girlfriends lost her daughter at the age or her son at the age of 2 years, and it's like,
Wow.
that's nothing compared to what I mean. What I've gone through is nothing compared to like the and of a mourning parent or something, and I'm sure it's a lot harder to forgive and to be grateful when something like that happens.
It can be. It can be. It depends, I think, on your philosophy. So if you have a philosophy that says life's happening to me, then that's how your filter is. That's your glasses that you have on. That's how you're seeing the world, right? But thankfully, I had a mentor, Tony Robbins, who taught me that life is happening for me.
Right.
For me. Not sometimes, not when it's when I want it to. Just it's always. And then I add this other little bit to it. It says life is happening for me and everything is here to help me.
Right.
So when stuff's happening, I literally am going, okay, life's happening for me. Where's the gift? There's a gift.
Right.
And I'm literally in the midst of the trauma or drama. I'm looking for the gift. And when you seek, you will find, right? What's wrong is available and what's right is also available.
Right.
And what if things weren't wrong or right, really? What if they just are? Right?
Well,
And so go ahead.
No, you go on. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, it's just what if they just are, right? So whatever shows up, love that. Matt Kahn, I think, taught me that. Whatever shows up, love that. Even if it's tough. Because there's a gift in it. And maybe it's not obvious in this moment, but there's always a gift. And so, it's a joy to go through life with that philosophy. And I really encourage everyone to have it. It changes everything. It changes every moment of every day versus being a victim and suffering.
Well, then the next level after four, there's to me, by me, or to me, for me, by me, and then through me.
Yes,
So,
so yes.
I mean, it goes beyond just for me, I mean,
It
because
totally does.
by me means that you're creating your own reality, and then through me means the universe is really manifesting itself, and I'm an instrument of a greater power.
Oh my gosh, Dale, I'm right with you. I didn't know at what level we could speak, but yes. That is true too. We create the life that we have. Period. We've manifested everything. All the glory and all the mess, we've manifested it. We created it, and it's up to us to do something about it.
Yeah, and well, that's the thing, I mean, when I said I was God at Dartmouth and I got taken away and everything, that was sort of like taking, the bull by the universe by the horns and saying, "Okay, I got this," But and ever since then, it's been, I mean, well, for the first basically 20 years, it was like a struggle, and people like saying I was crazy and you can't be God and everything, and then and then someone told me the analogy of I think it's Alan Watts said, if you say you're God in America and Western cultures, then they'll lock you up or put you away, but if you say it in India, they'll say, oh, so you realize, so
Yes.
so it,
Yes.
in a lot of ways it's a cultural thing, and uh,
Mm-hmm.
but I really have no. I mean, my doctor, 22 years, whose program I was in for 5 years, he called
Mm-hmm.
my illness psychotic bliss because
Oh.
he just said, you get so happy, Dale. You can't be this happy, and I'm like saying, why the hell not? It's like if I'm happy, then then I can bring joy to other people, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
this weight or this gravity of society that like judges and says, they're only like certain, you can only reach a certain level of enlightenment or a certain level of joy is really misdirected, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But so uh, tell us a little bit. You told us before the diamonds, so tell us a little bit more about your book.
All right. So I think what I feel led to share is you mentioned the subconscious, right? We
Right.
have we have two, well, three minds really, but we're going to talk about two. We have the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Subconscious or unconscious,
Right.
either one. And then there's the superconscious, which is the one tapped into the quantum and to the
Right.
divine and all of that, right? So we're going to talk about the conscious and the subconscious. So the conscious mind is only 5%.
Right.
That means we are 95% zombie.
Right.
95% not awake. Okay? So I have this beautiful, I love it. Beautiful analogy called your elephant. So I want you to visualize you, the 5%, are riding your elephant, but you are attached. You are part of the elephant. Your legs are in the body of the elephant. You can't get out. You can't get off. Okay? There's no jumping off. All
Right.
right? And your elephant is running the show. You just now realized you have an elephant and that he's wild, or he or she is wild. It has not been trained. He or she's been going wherever it wants to go up until now, basically. Right?
Right.
So here's the thing, it's part of you. You got to love it. You got to love your elephant. No different than you would love your 2-year-old who's wild and needs to be trained, right? And so when the elephants, okay, normally we crash through the jungle here, and you're gonna go, whoa, no, I'm awake right now. Nope. We're not doing that. We're gonna walk calmly this way. And the elephant at first is gonna throw a fit, like any 2-year-old would. No, we always go this way, right? And it might go there. It might crash through the jungle. And you're like, right? No, we're going this way. And sure enough, sooner or later, the elephant goes, okay, we're going this way now, right? And so you got to train the elephant. You are the one riding the elephant. You actually need to control it when you become aware. You can't control it when you're not aware. So the secret, the key is to ask yourself all day long, what am I thinking? What am I telling myself right now? Is it even true? Right? And so when you realize what you're saying, you're like, no, that's not true. What's true is this. What's true is life's happening for me. What's true is everything is here to help me. What's true is this is temporary. I'm going to get through this. This isn't permanent. Right? Which are all the lies that we tell ourselves, that this is going to be forever and it's going to be terrible forever. And no, it's not true. Right. We only have right now. And so you got to train your elephant. You got to love your elephant. And walk through the world and through life with your elephant, knowing that it's your responsibility. If your elephant goes and pees on the carpet in somebody else's house, who's responsible?
You are.
You are. I am. I'm responsible. Now, did I pee? No. The program did that. This is why I can have understanding. You're like, oof, that program, that's a strong program right there. Right? Right. So then you're like, no, we got to change that program. No more peeing on the neighbor's carpet, right? And so slowly but surely things start to change, and then you find joy, and now you're in control. You're in control a lot more than you're not. Yeah.
Well, that's and a similar analogy is I follow Peter Sage, who was like a Tony Robbins trainer for like 15 years, and
okay,
he's like on his own as a self-development coach, and he like fights the stereotypes of self-development and everything. But one of his favorite analogies is it takes a super tanker on the ocean 12 miles to make a turn.
Yeah.
So that's sort of like the elephant analogy, you know.
Yeah.
You can turn the wheel as much as you want to, but it's still going to take 12 miles for that ship to turn. So and it's the same thing with the elephant. You know, it might take 2 years or even more to like get control of the elephant, but once you do, then you are in control of yourself. We mentioned paradigms, and I think if I remember correctly, the definition of a paradigm is that Bob Proctor uses is a paradigm is a set of beliefs that are embedded in your subconscious that like control, that create habitual activity. So and 95% of our behavior is habitual. So therefore, you have to like take control of the paradigm. And I used to get like so amused at Bob Proctor because he would just like go on and on about paradigms and everything. But I found it sort of funny. But on the other hand, it really was like useful because, you know, that subconscious programming, you know, they say that basically you aren't conscious until you're 7 years old, and until then, everything that's coming into your brain is unfiltered, and you're just like learning the programming, as you call it. And you know, so the programming is like it's useful for integrating into society, but it's also like it can be very destructive to individuality.
Yeah. We didn't ask for the program. It was given to us. It was inserted into us, so to speak.
Right.
Right? But now we have a choice to keep it or not. The idea that we have to just keep the program that was given to us is just not true. We don't have to.
Well, that gets back to being aware, you know. I mean, first you have to be aware of the programming, and then you have to be aware of what the programming is, and then you have to change it, because until you do those two things, you can't do anything. I mean, you'll just be running on the 90%, 95% of habitual actions that are habits.
You got it. Yep. It takes intention. It takes effort. It takes Post-it notes all over the house. It takes whiteboard markers all over your mirrors. It takes reminders on your phone. It takes a whole lot of reprogramming, but it's possible.
Well, why don't you give us some insights into like how not only how to become aware, but also how to use that awareness to change the programming, because I think that would be helpful for a lot of people.
Okay. So what do I share? Yeah, awareness is the key. And then following that diamond of freedom will change your emotions, which changes how you feel, which changes how you feel about your day, your week, your month, your year, your life. Yeah. So you got to keep practicing the diamond. In my humble opinion, you got to do it every day, all day long, multiple times a day. And it's a forever thing. I don't think I'm ever going to get to the part where I don't need to do that. I'm a human.
Right.
We are surrounded by programming that doesn't serve us. So everywhere we go, the TV, for people, I mean, there's hardly a place to get away with. This is why it's so important what you're feeding your mind.
Right.
What are you feeding your mind? Are you watching the news? Like, I hope not. Like, it's so disruptive. It's so bad for you. You know, they call it programming, literally. You know what I mean?
Well,
So we have to.
I saw a statistic today. It said watching 6 hours of the news every week is the same. It causes the same amount of PTSD as actually going through the experience.
I believe it. I believe it. Another thing Jim Rohn taught me. He's an amazing mentor of mine. He says this: you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you're not hanging out with high vibe people, then you are literally dragging yourself down into the swamp. That's just the way. You're not going to be the only one in your tribe that keeps it high vibe. Eventually, they're going to grab you by the feet and drag you down, drag you down with them. So you got to be careful who you're hanging with. So to answer your question, what I did was I literally put Post-it notes all over my house. I have diamonds everywhere. I have diamond on my ring. I have tattoo. I have them all over. I mean, at the beginning, it was on the dash of the car, in the front and the back of the doors, on the mirrors, on the couch, on the desk. I mean, everywhere. Because you're not going to remember. You're not going to remember because that 95% is a pretty big number, right? So it's going to take some effort to turn that freighter around, as you said, right? But that's the thing. Once you get it turned around, now you're soaring, you're flying. It gets really easy. So I can breathe, smile, tell myself what I'm thankful for in seconds, and go from mad to happy in literally seconds. That's literally, it's that fast if you do it. If you do it. Now, for the really big stuff like death and violence and things like that, a lot of people think, well, that's nice if someone cuts you off in traffic. The diamond of freedom won't work for big things, right? But it's not true. It's really not true. And I have a story that I share in the book about my girlfriend who was stabbed 9 times and how together we got through that situation using the diamond of freedom. And she is a beautiful shining light of what it is to not be a victim, because we worked the diamond over and over and over and over, and until we were free. She was free. She was healthy again. And she did it with joy and with ease. And I mean, was it a tough situation? Yes. Yes. Challenging. But she left that hospital in a week after being stabbed 9 times, lost her kidney, lost her spleen, and she left the hospital after a week. Why? How? Because she controlled this. She controlled the elephant.
Right. Yeah. First of all, I like to welcome Robert Brooker. He's always active in the comments, and I'd just like to say thank you and hello, Robert. And just something. I know what I was going to say is that the other thing is, I mean, this is part of being aware, but it's also being part of unaware. Is that a lot of people find consolation in being the victim rather than the victor.
Yep. Do you know why?
I mean, because they get sympathy and attention.
Yeah. And we get addicted to that. instead of realizing that we can meet our needs in a beneficial way, which is something else that's also in the book, is the 7 human needs that we as humans have, all of us. And we have to be aware of them, because we are constantly meeting them, either beneficially or non-beneficially. And we don't care how we meet them, as long as we meet them, even if it hurts us.
Right.
Again, we got to wake up.
So, well, the famous story, the most famous story about this is probably Buddha. Somebody, asked him, what do you consider yourself, divine, enlightened? They gave like all these descriptions, and he just said awake.
I love that. I've never heard that. That's amazing. Yes, aho, awake. Yes, that is my mission too, to be awake.
Right. So just to reprogram, name the 4 parts of the diamond again, because I don't want people to forget this. And
okay, so the first point here on the side is your body. It's your physiology. What are you doing with it? So you smile, you breathe, and you move. Smile, breathe, move. Down at the bottom is focus. You're going to change your focus by asking the question, what am I thankful for? What am I thankful for? What am I thankful for? What else am I thankful for? What else am I thankful for? Until you feel different. And then over here, or whatever side, is the third one, which is change your story. Figure out what you're telling yourself and then change it and tell yourself the truth. Change your story. Tell yourself the truth. And then the top one and the probably the most epic one is to connect to source, to realize that we have the divine in and all around us, and we have access to that power any moment that we want, and we forget that we have it. And
right.
So it's that moment of remembering, and between all of those, you change in seconds from suffering
I'd
to
like
freedom.
to explore the story changing, because that's something that I've been really dealing with for the last like 2 or 3 years. Is that for the longest time I would just say I'm a schizophrenic and leave it at that, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean I don't think I was a victim. But I'm not. I was sort of like halfway between victim and like reality, but which is part of the illness itself actually. But ultimately, in the last 2 or 3 years, people have been saying, you gotta stop saying you're schizophrenic, because you become the person that you tell your story about. So
Yep.
so I was like a victim of like a story of schizophrenia, and now I'm like changing my story. I'm like a lot more successful in society than I was. I have like a real job, and I revealed my history to my we have like company meetings, and I reveal my history, and people say, that's so courageous and inspirational and everything. And it's like, but I'm really like changing my whole mindset and the whole like view of the world from being, mentally ill. I don't want to insult anybody, but for the longest time I just thought I was a mental case. And when I was in my first hospital, my doctor told me I had a broken brain, and that I keep saying that's probably the cruelest thing anybody ever said to me. But this belief of mental illness is, you have a broken brain and you'll never be able to get rid of it. It like haunted me for like at least like 20 years, and but now I'm like changing my story. I'm changing my life. I'm changing my reality. I mean, for instance, in the last 3 months, I've gone on a long like cross country flight, once to Lake Tahoe and once to Las Vegas. And before that, I hadn't been on a plane for 8 years because I didn't want to leave my apartment. So, but
Wow.
then I did that, and no hassles. I had a great time.
Yep.
No anxiety and everything. So, that's just proven to me how not only how much I progressed, but also, how you can change your mindset and how you can change your perception of the world, and no matter who you are. And actually the basis of my mental health coaching business is, the ability of family members to help their loved ones who are diagnosed to overcome not only themselves and
Hmm.
get back to their natural selves, but also to help their loved ones.
Yes, absolutely. Amazing. Change your story, change your life.
Right. And change your paradigm and change your, I don't know, change
Change
your,
your program, change your life, change your paradigm, change your life, change your attitude, change your life.
right.
Yes. Amazing. You are an inspiration, Dale. I
Thank
just
you. So
beautiful.
tell us about mindset coaching.
Wow, okay. So I love it because if you don't change your mind, if you don't change your story, you continue to suffer, right? And so we just need help. I wouldn't be where I am without the coaches and mentors and teachers that I've had. And so many people just don't have coaches. And so if you do one thing for yourself, get a coach. It doesn't have to be me. It doesn't even have to be Dale. Just get somebody who will help you and keep you accountable. There's a story back in 1993, a study was made. Omaha Mutual did a study, and they had 333 people who were told that they would die, change their lifestyle, or they'll die, period. And so a year later, they followed up with these folks, and guess how many people changed their lifestyle under threat of death?
Probably 17%.
No, but close. 6%.
Okay, well, that's even less, but I was being liberal. I was giving people for more awareness, consciousness than they deserve, But
Right? So 6%. So then Dr. Dean Ornish, a beautiful doctor, says, okay, we got to do something about this. And he created a course, a coaching course where they had where to shop and what, yoga and exercise and what to eat and what not to eat and all the things they needed to change their life. I think it cost like $8,000 or something back then, which would be like, I don't know, 12, 15 grand today, right? And it was a year-long course. So the people went through it, and then they waited another 2 years, so 3 years later, and they checked in with them. Guess how many people then
I
followed
would
up, changed
say,
their life?
let's say 70.
Very good, 77%. The question is what was the difference?
They knew how to do it.
Accountability.
Right.
Yes, they were accountability, and they were shown the way. Right? We can't, if we're just living within our own blinders, so to speak, like a horse with blinders, we can't see past our own stuff, our own programming, right? Our own paradigms. So getting a coach is super, super important. So that's what I do. I help people figure out, what are they telling themselves? What are their beliefs? Is it serving them? Right?
Right.
It's amazing. People don't know. They've never even asked themselves the question, what do I believe?
Right.
I am, the world is, people are, men are, women are. How you answer these questions, tells a lot about where you're at and how you're filtering everything that's coming to you, right?
Right.
So sometimes you need help navigating all that. And then I also work on the trauma that's stuck in the body, in the cells from trauma that happened who knows when, right? Could have been this life, could have been generational, could have been into the epigenetics, that kind of thing, right? And I help release that. So I'm able to do both things, which is super helpful, because sometimes all the mind work in the world won't get rid of stuck trauma in the body. And there's lots of different ways to get stuck trauma out of the body, but energy work is one of them. And so that's what I get to do for people.
Well, I think a lot of people, I mean, coaching is really a very new idea. I mean, it was always therapy and, see a doctor, see a psychiatrist, see a psychologist, see a social worker. And coaching is sort of like come out of nowhere and, sort of like, not replace, but, like substituted for therapy. And, but, used to be that if you needed therapy, you were considered like not necessarily sick, but in need and everything. And I've defined the difference between therapy and coaching is the difference between looking back and and fixing the problems, or looking forward to the future and solving problems. So
That's beautiful. I'm going to borrow that. Is that okay?
sure.
That's genius. Yes, yes.
But
Absolutely. The past
so
helps us understand where we're at, but then we got to move on. We don't have to stay there.
well, I think that's like more and more the knock on therapy is that people just like become so focused on their past that they can't live in the present and they can't consider the future. And I think that's really where coaching comes in. And and even if it's just a business coach, I mean, you don't have to have a life coach. Basically, I have a business coach who is a life coach. And but and that's what I aspire to is like not be business coach, but be a mental health coach and really like help people, as you say, take off the horse blinders around so that they can see, that uh, you know I call it I call schizophrenia disease for life, not of life. So it, you might be stuck, you might have it for your whole lifetime, but that doesn't mean that you have to be like debilitated by it.
Exactly. It gives you understanding of what's going on, right? And then when you become aware, then you can do whatever you can do in that moment for yourself.
Right.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So we have about like 5-10 minutes left. So are there like any points that I haven't brought up that you'd like to discuss, either about your book or your story, or you mentioned the 7 human needs. I know of 6 human needs according to Tony Robbins, but I don't know if you'd be interested in like just running through those quickly.
Sure, I can. And I agree with Tony. I just think there's 7.
Okay.
And here's why. I think the one that's missing is truth. The need for truth and the need to express
Right.
your truth. And I think the 7 human needs, because I believe there's 7, I think they completely correspond with the 7 energy sessions.
Chakra.
Yeah. Energy centers or chakras, depending on what you want to call them. So the first one is down at the bottom, down just below your pelvic bone, and it is the root chakra, and it represents certainty. It's survival. It's all about a roof over your head, food in your belly, protection. It's a necessary thing. All the needs are necessary, right? We need them no matter what. But we can meet those needs beneficially or non-beneficially. The root chakra gets blocked by fear. Okay, this is going to be really fast. I get into it more in the book. The second one is the sacral chakra. It's just below your belly button area. And it is variety. It's your need to flow and be and zoom around and create and all these beautiful things, right? And it gets blocked.
I was just going to say that the 6 needs, as Tony sets them out, are basically in contrast to each other. So you have certainty versus variety, and then go on. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, so certainty, variety, and it's blocked by guilt and shame. Think about how much sex has guilt and shame around it. So much, and it keeps you blocked. That energy center gets blocked by guilt and shame. The next one is your solar plexus, right below your ribs, in the middle there, and it is significance. That's your power. That's where everything comes from, and this gets blocked by anger. Okay, so it gets all messed up by anger. The fourth one is your heart chakra, which is love and connection. Yeah, we all need love and connection. It's a beautiful thing, and it gets blocked by grief. The fifth one is the throat chakra, and this is the need for truth. the need to tell the truth to others and yourself, and the need to express yourself as your truth, as your authentic self. And this gets blocked by lies that we tell ourselves and others. Yeah. Like, I'm not good enough. Right.
Right.
Things like this. The next one, the sixth one, is the third eye. It's this center, and it's blocked by not listening to your intuition. And when we rely on the brain instead of our heart and our intuition, then things get mucked up. Right. The heart knows, the mind thinks it knows. Which one are you going to bank your time, money, and energy on? Your heart. Right. So, and then the seventh one is your crown chakra, which is contribution, which is connection to all. It's when you realize that we are one. Like, actually, what I do to you, I'm doing to myself. We are mirrors. We are one. We are all connected. And it gets blocked when we forget that. When we think, that's mine. That person's mine. This possession is mine. And no, it's not true. We're all one. And so those are the 7 human needs.
So just one thing I'd like to point out is it all revolves around the heart. The bottom 3 and the top 3 all revolve around the heart, which is the middle one.
Yes. Yes.
So
when you understand the 7 human needs, it completely changes your life. It helps you understand yourself and everybody around you, and it allows you to meet people where they're at, in the need that they're needing in that moment, and you get to love them intelligently, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Right. Well, thank you very much, Amy. We're almost at the end of our time together, but just stay on after we close, and we can have a debrief or whatever. But just thank you very much. And the name of the book is Get Your Shit Together by Amy Joy. It's available now on ebook on Amazon, and it'll be available in in book form on Sunday, right?
Exactly. And you can go right there by typing in getyourshittogether.life, and it'll take you straight to Amazon, and it's 2 clicks, and you'll have the book in your hand. And it helps me a lot too with ranking in Amazon, because my heart is just to help as many people as possible, which is why I made it so inexpensive and easy to get. And I would love to hear from you and see how it's blessed you, and any thoughts you have.
Is that where people can contact you, or at getyourshittogether.com, or?
That's just the direct link to Amazon, getyourshittogether.life. But to contact me, you can go to my website and subscribe, and you can get updates from me. And it's www.amyjoycoaching.com. amyjoycoaching.com. Yep.
Okay. Well, it's been very enlightening, and I think we've covered a lot of space, and
we have.
And I'm glad you like my questions. That always makes me feel good.
I do. They're amazing. Thank you.
So I always get pride because, like, usually people say, no one's ever asked me that question before. So when people say that, it makes me feel like I'm doing my job as an interviewer.
You are. You're great at it, Dale. You're great. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for the change that you've made in yourself so that you can help the world. It is evident, it is obvious, and it is making a difference. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that, and thank you for all you do, and thank you for all your work and all your work on yourself, and also work writing a book, and talking about awareness and being awake and everything, because that's really where it all begins, and that's where it really all ends too. It's just like being able to say, I live my life as a conscious human being instead of just being driven by 95% habit.
Exactly.
Okay, well, we'll close it out then, and have a great day, everybody. I hope you found this fun and enlightening, and thank you once again, Amy, and we'll be in touch, and just hold on, and I'll end the broadcast now.
Thank you.
You're welcome. End the show video.